Well, hello, vinyl community. I'm back again. Music community. I forgot to say that in my last video. The music community. We cannot thank them enough as well. Whoever we are, music community, vinyl community. Anyway, hi, it's Matt again. I thought I'd do my second video for today and get it out there for you. And basically, I'm honing in on one of my favorite power pop, or I shouldn't even say just power pop. They're one of my favorite bands of all time. The Raspberries, or as they are more commonly known as just Raspberries. But I may say the Raspberries because I'm just used to saying it that way. Okay, the Raspberries, as you know, they were, if you watched my last video about Power Pop 101, you know that they are one of the purveyors, one of the originators of pushing that genre to the next level. If you watched that last video, Power Pop 101, you saw a real quick video going through some books I had and rattling off the names of different power pop stars over the years, going all the way back to the Beatles and all the way up into the 90s and beyond. And the Raspberries, I believe they were featured in Volume 2 as one of the purveyors, one of the originators, one of the bands who pushed the genre very much into the forefront in the early 70s and throughout the 70s. So I wanted to feature some of the items I have, and the reason I decided to do this little special one on the Raspberries is because they are one of my favorite bands of all time, and I recently acquired a nice pickup of theirs, a new release that just came out on vinyl, and I thought I would share that with you. So I thought by doing that, I would go into some of the background of the Raspberries and show you some of their other albums, and if you wanted to seek them out, I would highly recommend it. I'm going to give you my ratings of each album and tell you what I think of each one and where you should start and whatnot, and we'll go from there. So the first thing I have to show you, and again, you heard this name a lot in my last video about Power Pop because he's a big, when it comes to being an author of great rock and roll books, he authors awesome books, everything from John Lennon to the Beatles to Kiss, Cheap Trick, and beyond, and certainly Power Pop, and his name is Ken Sharp. Okay, you may want to look him up as an author because he has some great books out there. He put this book out several years ago, almost on the verge of saying many years ago. Very rare, extremely hard to get this book. But if you're into the Raspberries, if you want to learn about their history, I mean, look at the the thickness on this thing. It's a pretty good size paperback book, but it's called Raspberries: Overnight Sensation: The Story of the Raspberries by Ken Sharp. It's a fantastic book. It's a cool little scrapbook, if you want to say, and it's got great, mostly black and white images of the band through each member, but it goes through the whole history of the Raspberries, where they originated from, and it's just chock full of knowledge. Personal letters from each of the band members wrote a little foreword to the book. So highly recommended. I don't know how easy it'll be for you to find this, folks, but if you can find it, check it out. Overnight Sensation: Story of the Raspberries. Now, the Raspberries originate in Cleveland, Ohio. The original members started out in a couple of other smaller rock bands at the time. I won't go into the detailed history, but let me just say they found their way together, and in 1972, early 72, released their first album. It's simply called Raspberries, okay? And the original, I don't have an original with the sticker, but the original had a sticker on it, which was a scratch and sniff sticker. It said Raspberries. It would be on the outer plastic sleeve, and someday I hope to get one in the shrink with the original hype sticker, but it said Raspberries, and if you scratched it and sniffed it, it smelled like raspberries. That's what the legend goes. So, and it is true. So here's the cover of the album. Here's the back. And this is known for the big hit. The big smash on here is Go All the Way. Side 1, song 1 is Go All the Way. If you know that song, you know what a gem it is. What a great power pop song it is. I can't recommend it enough. Now, this album as a whole, although I like it, I'll give it a B. It's probably, believe it or not, my least favorite of the 4 original studio Raspberries. Raspberries had 4 studio albums. This was the first one in early 72, and it's probably my least favorite. I mean, albeit it has Go All the Way on it, which is one of my favorite Raspberry songs of all time, but overall as an album, as a piece, I give this a B, and it's probably my least favorite of all the Raspberries albums. Not saying you shouldn't seek it out. If you want, it is a good album. And if you want to learn about the Raspberries and go all the way on its original issue, then you need to get this. And this should be pretty easy for you to find. Okay. Now, late in 72, late 72 coming into 73, they released their second album called Fresh Raspberries. Okay, I'll try to cut down the glare for you a little bit. Okay. Again, late 72, early 73 was the time frame of this second album, Fresh Raspberries. I gotta admit, I never liked the cover of this album. I don't like the white suits with the black shirts. It very much negates what the Raspberries were all about with the two-tone shoes, you know, early 70s style two-tone shoes. That's not the Raspberries. You know, that comes off as they look like the Letterman or, you know, some kind of teeny bop band or something. Yeah, the Raspberries were power pop, but they are a rock and roll band. And I'm going to talk about a couple of releases that will prove that to you. But I never liked this cover, never did. It's got a couple of hits on it. I Want to Be With You made top 40, and so did a ballad called Let's Pretend, made the top 40. As far as the overall album itself, negating this terrible cover picture with these silly suits, I would give this definitely an A. This is a great album, Fresh Raspberries. The music on it is fantastic. Highly recommended. I really think you'd enjoy this album. Don't go by the cover. This should be an easy one to find too in your used record bins. And I highly recommend checking out Fresh Raspberries. I give it an A. Okay, now their third one, which came out late in 73, mid to late 73, is kind of cool. I'll take this one out of the package to show you. It's been die cut around the edges of the album cover. This is cool for collectible purposes. It has a little hype sticker stuck right on it. This is Raspberries Side 3, their third album, like I said, mid to late 73, with a cut like a bushel of raspberries, with a hype sticker that says, includes their smash hit Tonight. Tonight is a great song. I highly recommend checking out, and it says Side 3 over here. All right, when you turn it around like that, there's the back of the bushel with the song titles. Okay, I think it might open a little. Oh yeah, it does open into like some credits over here, and then you have the record with strawberries and some whipped cream and whatnot. Okay, and then the album sits inside here. Again, Raspberries were on the Capitol label, so I will show you just this one. I don't want to take them all out and make this too long today, but the inner sleeve is die cut also, with pictures of the band, more pictures of the band, and then because of the time frame when their albums came out, it's on the orange Capitol label. All their albums are on the orange Capitol label, being that early to mid 70s period. Okay, so I'll put that away for now. That's side 3. Then the Raspberries had a big turnaround. Two of the original members, Dave Smalley on bass, and brain cramp. Jim Bonfanti on drums, sorry, I apologize. Jim Bonfanti on drums and Dave Smalley on bass were the two original members. The other two members are Wally Bryce on guitar and Eric Carmen on rhythm guitar. And of course, they all sang lead vocals, mainly Eric Carmen, but Wally and Dave Smalley also sang some lead vocals as well. But after the Side 3 album in late 73, Dave Smalley and Jim Bonfanti, the drummer, left. They quit the band for various reasons. You could read the history about why that happened. And then they got two new members, Mike McBride on drums and Scott McCarl on bass and vocals. And they brought a lot to the band. Scott was very talented, great songwriter, along with Wally and Eric. And in 1974, their final studio album, the Raspberries tried one more time to keep it together, and they put out the Starting Over album in 1974. And I have to tell you, folks, this is a keeper. I didn't rank Side 3. Side 3 is, I would give this an A as well. It's a great album, Raspberries Side 3. I give this an A+. This is my favorite Raspberries album. To me, the Raspberries got better with every album. The first one's good. The second one's even better. The third one, side 3, is definitely an A, a little higher than the second one. But this fourth one has always been my favorite. Raspberries, Starting Over. Highly recommend it to you. It's on the Orange Capitol label. Great album. It has the hits on it: Starting Over, Overnight Sensation, Hit Record, that made the top 40. I highly recommend this album. I highly recommend all 4 of their albums if you want to get into them and get into power pop. These guys are one of the originators of it and did a great job. So that's their 4 albums. After they broke up, I believe it was 76, a couple of years after they broke up, they did put this out on the Capitol label, Raspberries Best, featuring Eric Carmen. By then, Eric Carmen had really made a name for himself with a solo career. As you know, he had some top 40 hits, wrote for other artists. He really, he had a pretty good solo career in the 70s and 80s. And so I think Capitol wanted to capitalize on that. And so when the Greatest Hits came out in 76, they put featuring Eric Carmen, I guess to draw more sales. But it is a great album. The Raspberries Best has a picture of all the members on it. You got Eric Carmen right in the middle, Mike McBride, the second drummer here, Jim Bonfanti, the original drummer here, Dave Smalley, the original bass player, Scott McCarl, the second bass player, and then Wally Bryson, who was with them the whole time, guitar and also songwriter. Okay, and here's the back. It's kind of written up like a newspaper article, and the cover's kind of like a newspaper. But this is great. This, if you want to start somewhere with vinyl on them and you're just not sure about spending money on their 4 studio albums, this sold very well. You should be able to find this. Raspberries Best. Highly recommend it. This is an A+. I recommend to you fans of vinyl out there. Pick it up. You get some great songs on here. You get all the hits, you know, Go All the Way and everything else. All the great stuff is here, folks. You know, it's only like 10 or 11 songs, but you're getting all the best of. So highly recommend it if you want to collect on vinyl and start somewhere. Okay, as the years went by, of course, CDs came out. One of the first things I got on CD was Capitol put out this finally after many years. The first CD I found that I could ever get of the Raspberries was the Capitol Collector Series called The Raspberries. Maybe you've seen this before. This came out in the very early 90s when CDs were just really, you know, only a few years old. And this is great. I mean, if you want to get this to have the vinyl of the best of, if you really want a really nice completist set, this has like 20-something songs or 20 songs. The Capitol Collector Series on CD. Highly recommended. You should be able to find this for short money. It's got the Orange Capitol label logo on there. Okay, highly recommended on CD. If you're looking for a quick CD to get into the Raspberries and learn all about them, you'll fall in love with this. I mean, I gave this to a few friends of mine back in the 90s, and they were fans ever since. They got into this CD, they played it all the time, and they became Raspberry fans just based on the Collector Series CD. And that's a fact, okay? I can confirm that with a couple of my friends. I got them this CD, I got them into it, and they never looked back. They were fans right after they heard this CD. So again, it's got the silly cover again. I don't like those white suits on them because these guys were power pop and rock and roll all the way, and they kind of got, you know, with these silly suits. I don't know why they did that. But anyway, great CD, okay? A couple of years later, I had to get them as an import, but you could get all 4 albums on 2 CDs. It's called Raspberries Power Pop, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Volume 1 has the first 2 albums on 1 CD. Okay. And Volume 2 has Side 3 and Starting Over on 1 CD, as you can see. Just to confirm with the other one, you can see the album covers are right down here on this one. All right, see them. All right, and there's Side 3 and Starting Over. These you should be able to get. You could probably get these online, and not too expensive, I don't believe. They're imports, but I highly recommend them if you want albums on CD. These are the ones to get. You can also get, there's Japanese imports of each individual album. You don't get any bonus tracks or anything, so I don't know how deep you want to go into that regard, but you can get some import CDs, and there may even be some domestic releases now of the 4 separate albums, but you just get the basic 4 albums. got a Raspberries tribute CD that's recommended. Good versions of their songs came back out probably 10 or 15 years ago, called Raspberries Preserved. Very good CD of tribute to them by many different rock and roll and power pop artists. Back in the, I want to say, late 90s, before they reunited in the 2000s, and I'll talk about that in a minute, they did get back together, as you know, for a couple of tours. Three of the members, Wally Bryson, Dave Smalley, and Scott McCarl, put out a quick EP of like 6 songs. Each of them did 2 songs. Dave did 2, Wally and Scott McCarl. They called it Raspberries Refreshed. And they put out a quick 6-song EP, as you can see. And again, this goes back to the late 90s or so, but it's very good. The songs are good quality, and they called themselves the Raspberries, even though it was just the 3 of them. And they autographed it, as you can see. So I do have their autographs. And then after that, a few years went by, and then finally, in 2004, the Raspberries finally decided to bury the hatchet. They said it would never happen, but it finally did. The 4 original members, Eric Carmen, Wally Bryson, Jim Bonfanti, and Dave Smalley, got together, and they did shows in 2004, 2005. Then they took a break for a while, and then they got back in 2007 and did another little tour of mostly at places like the House of Blues across the country. They went to different venues and similar to that size, but mainly the House of Blues. And they also did one final show at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when it was celebrating, I believe, Cleveland rock and roll, and they were from Cleveland. In 2009 was their final show together. A shame, because I never got to see them. Being up from the Boston area, I kick myself now. The closest they came to me was New York City back on those tours in 05 and 07. And I said, oh, they're going to come to Boston. I mean, Boston had a House of Blues at the time. Why wouldn't they come to Boston? Well, lo and behold, they didn't come to Boston. I sat on my hands, and they didn't come up this way. So I missed them. I never saw them live, and now it's been 9 years since their last show, and that's it. They're not touring anymore. But they did put out a great CD. I don't think it's, well, it might be on vinyl. I have to really hunt for it. But I'll just say that they put out a great double CD called Raspberries Live on the Sunset Strip, from one of their shows from their reunion tours in the 2005-2007 period. And here's the cover. Great cover. I love this cover with Wally Bryson's Flying V guitar in the front. It's a great, great double CD package, folks. You get a CD with it. You get another CD with it of the whole entire show, and you get a bonus DVD of some video footage from the reunion shows. Great, great album. It has the original band members here, and then, where is it? Oh, I know I saw it somewhere. Oh, it's on the inside book. You got the original guys back in the day, and then you got them during the reunion tour together. That's kind of cool how they did that with the book. And great, great package, folks. Great live show. Raspberries live at the Sunset Strip. You can get this easy. Highly recommend it. As they rock on this thing. They play some great covers. Highly, highly recommended on CD. Maybe on vinyl, like I said. I think you can get it on vinyl. I got to do some research on that, though, because I'm not sure if it ever did come out officially on vinyl or if it's just an import or whatnot. I don't have it if it did. But one thing I want to show you now, the big thing I wanted to show you is this. Here's the hype sticker and the shrink wrap. Raspberries. Experience the power of their first live performance on the 2004-05 reunion tour in the United States. It's a 3 LP set called Pop Art Live Raspberries. Just came out late last year. I'm going to say right from the top, I hate the cover. I think whoever they talked them into, or they thought this was great. Eric, if it was you, shame on you, or shame on any other member of the band who want. This is a terrible cover. I don't know why they did this, because it belies the music. The quality, excellent music that's inside is fabulous. This is from the first show of the reunion tour in 04, and it's fabulous. The mix, in my opinion, is better than this. This is great. Get live at the Sunset Strip. It's great. You get the entire show from different performances on those tours and those shows. But the mix is good. I like this. But on this, they rock. I don't know how they did the mix, but the way they did the guitars, the drums and everything, this sounds like you could be witnessing or hearing a Raspberries show from the early 70s. Just balls to the wall, rock and roll all the way. This is great. Great, great, great. The back cover is wonderful. I like the back cover. They designed that well with the song titles. It shows all the different music, side 1, side 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You get some bonus cuts here that are on the CD. I don't have the CD of this. I just got the vinyl in. But wow, this is great, folks. Just came out. 3 LP set. Raspberries Pop Art Live. Here's the inside cover with a lot of stuff to read. But what's cool about this, and I'll show you, are the vinyl, is the vinyl inside. Okay, number 1 is on a beautiful, beautiful red vinyl. All right, I think this is number 1. It doesn't matter. Here's one album on a beautiful red vinyl. Nice label, Pop Art Live. Number 2 is in beautiful blue. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay. And volume 3 is in a beautiful gold. Look at that. Raspberries Live, first show from their reunion shows back in 04 and 05, and then again in 07, and their final performance was in 09. So, isn't that cool? I just thought this is a beautiful set. I don't like the cover, but I like the set. I like the back cover. I like everything about it. But it rocks. Just the mix is just so cool. I can't highly recommend this enough. You can get this. You can order it. If you're into power pop, if you're into rock and roll, folks, highly recommend it. Highly, highly recommend it. Okay, Raspberries Pop Art Live. Nice picture of the guys back there on those reunion shows with Eric Carmen right up front there. Okay, so folks, check it out. Check out Raspberries. Again, I want to do a little video for them because they are my favorite power pop band and they're one of my favorite bands of all time. Great fun music. I highly recommend it. Enjoy it. Seek it out. Give them a listen. Get one of their compilation CDs. You can get them cheap, a couple of bucks. You can get that Raspberries Best Of on vinyl. They sold a ton of these so that you can get them for like a couple of bucks in a used record store. Give it a listen. Give this one a listen. Give one of the compilation CDs a listen. See what you think. Raspberries, I'm telling you, they're a great little band. Great little, sometimes I think forgotten band. But this new Pop Art Live 3 vinyl set on red, blue, and gold vinyl, you can't beat it. It's rock and roll all the way. So check it out, folks. Check out Raspberries. That's my recommendation for the day. See what you think. Great music. All right, that's it from me. Enjoy. God bless, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.